HSAM is the abbreviation for a condition known as highly superior autobiographical memory. Imagine not only remembering, but being able to access the memory in great detail of every day of your life. This week, let's investigate this amazing phenomenon. I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Same Life. On each episode of my weekly podcast, a different topic, discussion, or story from our lives.
Season 18, Chapter 1.
HSAM.
In a world of 8 billion, how many people would you guess have this condition, this HSAM? 62. According to a recent worldwide study, only 62 people on the planet have highly superior autobiographical memory. These are documented cases. Most famous among them is actress Mary Lou Henner, a star of film and Broadway, but best known as Elaine Nardo in the iconic TV series Taxi. Henner speaks openly about this ability, once known as hyperthymesia. Eventually, brain scientists felt that sounded too much like a disease. As far as we know, it is not. It's a condition. They even did a TV show about it, Unforgettable. Remember this? Carrie Wells, a detective with total recall. She used the skill to solve crimes.
So she remembers what? Like facts and stuff?
Fact patterns, crime scenes, witness testimony. Once she's got them, she's got them.
One of the reasons we only know of 62 people is that science is an early stage of trying to figure this out. Why it happens to some people. It was only first identified in 2006. In the year 2000, a woman named Jill Price contacted a neuroscientist at the University of California in Irvine, Professor James McGaugh. He remains the preeminent expert in this particular study. And after extensive research on Jill Price, the group finally published their findings on hyperthymesia in 2006. And over the years, this has prompted others to come forward. Before being confirmed with HSAM, individuals are tested extensively, verbally, visually, and eventually medically with MRIs. People with HSAM often show increased brain activity and connectivity in areas like the medial prefrontal cortex, the temporoparietal junction, and hippocampus. I guess that's all very neuromedical. We don't expect us average IQs to remember all that. But many of us know of the term hippocampus. This is an area that is crucial to learning and memory. The HSAMs have large hippocampi. This suggests a distinct neural basis for their extraordinary personal memory and recall. Many of them can also exhibit extraordinary memory for non-autobiographical facts and events. Many also exhibit traits of OCD, obsessive-compulsive disorder. For instance, you can often ask one of these people a question like, what day of the week was May 7th, 1989? And they can almost instantly tell you that it was a Sunday, which it was. And of course, I had to look that up. They don't have to. It's just there in their memory. Henner and others have said that sometimes it's like a large calendar just appears in their head. It's like a large grid that they can easily reference. Can you imagine? If you give them a date on which they were alive, they will usually be able to tell you what the weather was like that day, what they had for breakfast, what they wore, who they talked to. Many can also show non-autobiographical skills. They can tell you that on May 7th, 1989, construction began on the very first McDonald's in Russia. Oh yeah, and Michael Jordan hit a very famous buzzer beater to eliminate the Cleveland Cavaliers from the NBA playoffs.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago.
Again, this is all stuff that I had to look up. Oh yeah, you can bet they'd be really good at Trivial Pursuit, easily pass a history test. And often, at least for those who cope more easily with the condition, their skills are often called upon. An amazing parlor trick at a party. Hey, Mary Lou, come here. Watch what she can do. Common among HSAMs is that most realize their unique capacity somewhere between 10 and 15 years of age. That makes sense. That's when most people begin to come into their own. You're old enough to realize, hey, not everyone can do this thing that I can do. Wonder why. The ability to control the recall varies slightly from person to person. For some, it's burdensome. They're not able to turn off the constant flow of past events in great detail. You and I, we have a memory suddenly, and we deal with it. We reminisce or think about it, and then we move on. Imagine not being able to. Where it's just constant. If you've seen those memory meds commercials on TV, you know that we have three basic areas of memory: working, short-term, and long-term. Oh, and by the way, those ads, that's about the only accurate thing they say. Memory meds are a scam. There is no scientific evidence that they actually work. What they do is they prey on our fears of memory loss, dementia, Alzheimer's, aging in general. But again, no real research to indicate that taking some pill every day will help your memory. While I'm here, while Dr. Larry is in, let me say the brain is not a muscle. Because you know that's the other piece of advice we always get. The brain is like a muscle, use it or lose it. Do the Wordle, do the crossword, keep the brain active, etc., etc. Now on its own, that's not such bad advice, but again, there's no evidence that these mental exercises will help stave off memory loss or a brain defect. The brain is not a muscle. The brain does contain some muscle tissue within the walls of the arteries, but the brain is a complex organ of gray matter, white matter, neurons, and cells. Not a muscle. So there. Back to the working and the short-term and the long-term memory. Working memory, well, that draws on short-term memory for us to complete everyday tasks. You know, I can answer some emails without having to go to Google. I can make toast without having to follow a recipe. Most days. Short-term is this holding area. The memories we hold for working, some of them may become long-term, some not. For the HSAMs, everything goes into long-term. They just remember everything forever. For the rest of us, memories last minutes or days or sometimes weeks. Pick up the dry cleaning tomorrow. I don't need a haircut because I got one last week. These kinds of things are in our short-term memory bin. The long-term memory, well, that's self-explanatory. Memory also has three stages: encoding, storage, and retrieval. Sure, we've all experienced different people who have different levels of memory. Some are really good at remembering things, others are not. Some people remember names, others are good with numbers, others with dates and events. But again, think of what it's like to remember it all. Encoding, storage, retrieval, and none of it is really in your control. Your brain just does it. Also, the HSAM people can retrieve these memories without mnemonics. For example, for most of us, if you name a year or an event, we might be able to remember 6 to 10 things about it without any help. If we are shown a photo, maybe, or we talk to someone else who was there, we may be able to remember more. If you have highly superior autobiographical memory, you just remember hundreds and hundreds of details about a year or about an event or about a thing without any prompting. Sounds great. Wouldn't it be handy? Again, yes, for some. But for others who cannot control this flow of past information, it can be a nightmare. Fatiguing. I mean, really, we all encode, we all store. But retrieval, that's the ticket. Retrieval. Did you ever have a grandfather or old uncle or somebody who would tell you that, hey, kid, I've forgotten more than you'll ever know? Well, that's just great. But, what good are you? That's not really a brag you should be making. Most of us do count on prompts, on photos, an item of clothing, a song, another person's story. That helps us. That helps prompt us in bringing back some of our memories. We all have different triggers and different associations that help with memory retrieval. Some people even count on methods like, some deep meditation or even hypnosis. to retrieve items from long-term memory. You know, there are just these boxes we can't see because they are stored underneath a bunch of other boxes. Even HSAMs can have these different methods and triggers. I find those fascinating. For example, I can't recite the lyrics to The Boxer by Simon and Garfunkel, but if the song comes on the radio, isn't it funny, I can pretty much sing along with it word for word. It's the music and the rhythm that are the trigger, the prompt that I need to remember all of that. My friend Dan once told me this story that I've never forgotten. I may have mentioned it somewhere before. So he's on vacation in Florida. He's having a great time. He's driving his rental car past an orange grove, and just the aroma of all the oranges is wafting into the car. It's a beautiful day, and suddenly his favorite song comes on the radio, so he cranks it up and thinks to himself, boy, what a good time this is. And for years afterwards, he noticed that every time he smells oranges, he can hear that song in his head. And when the song plays on the radio, he swears he can smell oranges. The triggers, the prompts for memory, sights, sounds, the olfactory, they're all very powerful, as are the emotions. Some memories are triggered by an emotion we may be feeling on a particular day, as some memories trigger the emotion. We may more remember what we were feeling as opposed to what we were wearing or what the weather was like that day. Even the people with highly superior autobiographical memory have these triggers. But also what's unique is, often they don't really need them. The memories are just there, and they can retrieve them. Again, like their MRIs indicate, they have larger areas of the brain that deal with memory and retrieval. They have these advanced synapses. You know what synapses are, right? These are these specialized junctions, stations, where different parts of the brain communicate with each other. Hey, hippocampus, how's it going today? Oh, not bad, cortex. What's new? Oh, not much. The human brain is an amazing mechanism, and as close as technology is to replicating it, they haven't yet. Let me emphasize, it's not only critical that the brain stores all of this information, this memory, but that it is able to retrieve it almost instantly and then quickly send it to another part of the brain that needs it right now. You know, in tech, we use the term memory as a unit of capacity for a computing device. Memory. There's usually a limit. Humans, almost infinite. Yeah, I know, someday we feel like, wow, my brain is full, but it really isn't. Just think about how wonderfully it works. On a hot day, you might see some kids frolicking in a creek, keeping cool. Not only will your brain suddenly retrieve 1,000 childhood memories, but it is also telling you not to jump off the bridge into that creek because you'll hurt yourself. And it's doing that all at once. As another example of brain connection and connectivity, remember Capgras syndrome? I did a podcast about it a couple of years ago. Joseph Capgras, a French scientist and doctor, first documented this over 100 years ago. What is it? Classic example. A man wakes up one day to realize that his wife of 30 years has been kidnapped and replaced with an exact double. Is that what really happened? No, of course not. But he believes this beyond any reasonable doubt. So a healthy brain does this. It sees your significant other. That's her face, her hair, her voice, her mannerisms. And that recognition part of the brain tells the emotional part of the brain, that's your wife, you love her. She's amazing. You have a past together. It's a great life. Well, what if because of a trauma or a brain disease, that part of the brain was unable to get that message across? So that this part of the brain recognizes the person, but the emotional connection is not being made. And also, when faced with a dilemma, the brain will look for an explanation, a backstory, if you will. Well, since I recognize you, but I don't feel like you're my wife, I remember having a wife, but I don't make that connection with you, there must be something else. You were kidnapped and replaced with an exact twin. In one case, the woman took him to doctor after doctor. Specialists had him tested and all that. He went along because he didn't know what else to do. She felt maybe intimacy would bring him back. So they were intimate. It didn't work. Instead, actually, the man was riddled with guilt because after all these years, he had cheated on his wife with this other woman. He sobbed and sobbed as he confessed this to his adult children. Capgras syndrome. Again, I use this to emphasize how important it is for the brain to not only have the information and retrieve it, but relay it to wherever it is needed. The human brain, astounding, isn't it? Both when it works and when it doesn't quite.
Would you mind telling me whose brain I did put in?
And you won't be angry?
I will not be angry.
Abby someone.
Abby someone. Abby who?
Abby Normal.
Abby Normal.
I'm almost sure that was the name.
Back to H. Sam's highly superior autobiographical memory people. This complete acceleration of memory. Memory, essential to our survival, enables learning from past experience or acquired knowledge. Don't jump off the bridge, make some toast, and in the long term helps give context to our lives, maintain social connections, and if nothing else, an indication that at one time we were here. But if you have this overflow of autobiographical data, not sure how it all may help you. I mean, you may remember when I was 21, I learned this valuable lesson, and I still use it to this day to get me through life. Okay, that's good, but what good would the information be that it was partly cloudy that day and I wore a blue checkered shirt? How does that help you? It ends up being something you just have to cope with. Most recently, only about a year ago, the newest member of this unofficial H-SAM club was tested and diagnosed. 18-year-old Emily Nash. She lives near Ottawa. And again, she only realized that something about her was different as she approached adolescence. Important to note that the H-SAMs aren't savants. A savant is mostly someone with developmental difficulties, but who shows exceptional ability in a particular area, even though in many other ways of life they're generally challenged. Rain Man in Rain Man is a good example of a savant. A Beautiful Mind is another movie that kind of dealt with the fine line between exceptional ability and mental illness. I mean, the H-SAMs aren't mentally ill, but also we just don't know enough about it because it's so new. Despite the struggle that some have with this superior memory, yeah, it's not an illness. It's a rare condition. I once thought I had it because I have these highly detailed memories from most of my life. I mean, heck, I did 60 episodes of a podcast series called I Was 8, based on childhood memories that were largely unprompted. Yeah, I have a pretty good memory, but I don't have H-SAM. The human brain has become the greatest area of advancement in medical research in the last 30 to 40 years, to the point where medical science says, the day of the therapist may be over. Hey, I'm not excluding the benefits of, lying on a couch and pouring your heart out to an expert. If it helps, go ahead. It's just more and more medical science is telling us to take a pill, alter your brain chemistry. That's the real problem, they say. You can talk a lot or take a pill, or just take the pill, and if you still want to talk a lot, let us know. There's Elon Musk's Neuralink, and it's only one of several companies right now working on technology and human brain interfaces. Perhaps a simulated brain interface can tell the actual brain, hey, you don't have ALS. Get up and walk. You are a happy person. That is your wife, not a double. And these are your memories. You do not have dementia. Well, that's the kind of stuff they're working on. As I said, brain science has had huge advancements. We must study how the brain works. And that's why the H-SAM people are so important. If we can figure out why in this particular area their brains seems to be working so well, remembering everything, maybe it can help those who start to forget everything. So again, remembering every detail of every day of your life, what can that teach you? And you even have the time to figure that out. I can tell you what Emily Nash's parents said. that family near Ottawa. Maybe a lesson for a lot of us. If she's going to remember everything, then we are going to have to devote more time into making good memories.
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37@gmail.com. Subscribe to Larry's podcast YouTube channel. Get automatic notifications with each new episode.